Hey, yo, what's good? What's good? What's good? Welcome to Reflections of a DJ, the Road podcast presented by DJ City and Beat Source. Big shout out to Beat Source and DJ City. I'm one of your hosts, DJ Crooked. I got DJ Never here.
Yo, what's up, y'all?
I got DJ D Miles.
What's good? What's good?
I got Jamie the Great.
Yeah.
And we got a special guest from Nauru, New York. He's a producer. You know, he's produced for Wu-Tang, Mariah Carey, J Mills, Biggie, Lord Banks, Eminem. And recently did the new Locks and DMX. He's also an MC, rapped with Nas, Saigon, Styles P, Coogee Rap. And he's an extremely talented DJ. He's been in the New York scene. I remember seeing him at Greenhouse and shit. I'd like to welcome Scram Jones. What's up, man?
What's good, brother? What's good?
Thank you for having me, Cookie.
I also forgot to mention that you are a Grammy Award winner as well, right?
I should have came.
Nah, nominated.
Huh?
Nominated.
Grammy
Yeah,
nominated.
Nominated.
I was on two projects that won Grammys, but I didn't get a trophy. So
Nah.
I could play with that. You know what I mean? But he was nominated. It's fine.
That's dope, man. That's dope. So how you been holding up, man? And out there in the East Coast, you're in Nauru still, or where are you?
Yep, now New Rochelle, Westchester, just outside the Bronx.
Yeah.
It actually hit us first. I don't know if you guys remember, but this was actually the starting point in New York. This guy over here, he was at some synagogue or something, and he spread it. So like we actually had the Coast Guards come here first.
Wow.
Not
I
Coast
didn't know
Guards.
that.
I'm wilding. The what are they called? The
National Guard?
National Guards. Okay.
Yeah.
Edit that out. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so we got hit first, but to be honest, as a creator, like I actually embraced it. I didn't embrace what was going on outside. Obviously, it was horrible. It still is, but it was time. It was some downtime that I really needed just from constantly running around DJing and having a million things to do. It was needed time to just buckle down in the studio and work. So I embraced it, definitely.
So in the last couple of years, you kind of focused on DJing a little bit more than production.
Yeah, not really by choice. It just was of circumstance, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it just happened that way. I would DJ a couple nights a week, and then I had the radio show, which I'd prepare a couple of days in advance.
On Shade 45, right? Yeah.
Right, on Saturdays, yeah. So, and then my extra time, I was with my family, and I would definitely try to do graveyard shifts, late at night, try to make tracks and shit. But I was really just like, I wasn't centered really. I mean, I was still making tracks, but right now I'm on it like every day, like I should have been probably.
Yeah. But is it weird when you DJ that much, when you're DJing that often, to get into production mode, like to get in that head?
I mean, it's two ways of looking at it. It's definitely inspiring when you see what, if you're in production mode and you see what the crowd likes and you see what responses you get, you may want to, go home and try to cook something that has that type of effect. So I see a lot of other DJ / producers that, after the club, they'll go to the studio, whatever.
Yeah.
You definitely get inspired, but I also don't like to be a follower. So I also like to just be super experimental too. So I definitely, I don't know.
So
I was going to ask, like, because you said exactly what you said, like a lot of times the inspiration comes from seeing people react.
Yeah.
So now where does that inspiration come from? Was it just your own creativity?
No,
You're just working with artists?
It's just feelings like what's going on, like just the world shifting. Like I think more artists should really embrace, like this is the time to really write what's going on right now and grab the emotion of the people. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it has to be somber. I'm not saying it has to be revolutionary, but definitely more introspective, more, autobiography. I mean, everybody's kind of rerouting right now in a sense. Like,
right.
I like what somebody said 2020 is when everybody got their vision back or whatever. I mean, that's like a silver lining. Obviously, it's been freaking hell this year, but in a sense, a lot of people got to reroute and rethink about their life and say, are they going to continue doing what they were doing, or is this the time that they either move or change jobs or get out of a relationship or whatever it may be. I think it was a pivotal time this year.
Yeah, you dropped the song Divine Intervention, right? Recently, like in April or May or something. You dropped it. And that was kind of, you were actually speaking on, is this like a divine intervention, giving kind of the earth a break and giving ourselves time to like heal,
I did more of the hippie vibe on that one.
Yeah.
This is when it first hit, and it was just like I had that light bulb, and I just started thinking about it, and I was like, the earth needed a break. I mean, it was just interesting seeing how certain waters would get bluer in Italy, and the sky would, like certain animals are coming out now, and things are kind of like fixing themselves. We do so much pollution and so much harm to the earth. So when it's literally got a break from humans, fucking with it for like 5-6 months, I don't know. I just wrote about it. I thought it was deeper than what was on the surface. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's dope. And then, you just did this Locks and DMX this joint about shit. That's pretty big, man. That's like pause. That's like DMX's first track in a minute, yo.
Yeah, that's a bucket list for all us New Yorkers, '90s heads. I mean,
I was about to say that. Yeah,
yeah. He's not an easy dude to be in the same room as everyone knows his history.
Oh, so you were in the studio with him?
Yeah, no, I was there when he recorded it.
Oh shit!
He came to D Block. It was interesting because it was a Locks record and they didn't have a hook. And I was actually in the studio with Sheik and I was saying it'd be crazy to have DMX on it. And right there we were like, who do we know? And he's like, let me call the manager, boom, boom. Like me and Sheik thought of that right there. Like, wow. And then the following week, like he was at the studio and he was just supposed to do a hook, but he just grabbed a pad and pen and started writing. Nobody was going to stop him. So
how was that? What's his process like? What's it like working with him?
He came with the henny to the face,
Oh, wow.
No smoking. He smoked cigarettes,
Yeah.
And he was just in the zone. He was there to, do his business. So, he sat by himself for a while thinking the lines outside the studio. Then he went in the studio with a pad and pen. I think Styles actually came up with the hook. Mm-hmm. I think Styles already had a hook ready because he didn't want to he wanted to make sure that the job was going to get done. So he had the hook already and DMX wrote it and recorded it. And he said he might want to redo it, but he never redid it. That was a go.
So was it quick? Was it pretty much a quick process?
Yeah. I mean, well, let me think. He probably chilled for like an hour before he recorded, like with the pad and pen, kind of getting it together. Mm-hmm. And then a couple of takes, not too many takes, maybe 5 takes or something, like revving the engine.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. That was
wow.
Awesome.
That's fucking crazy. I saw you in the music video with your Jufro out.
Yeah, that was actually, I hadn't been out of quarantine until that day. I actually had to take a test right after. Nobody wanted me back in the house after that.
Oh yeah.
So, but I hadn't got a haircut. I looked crazy after. I was like, oh man, I probably look crazy, but
it was dope, man. It was like the quarantine look. That was like the New York quarantine.
Yeah, I was like a fucking caveman. I was living like a caveman.
So during this whole pandemic and shit, where do you see yourself? You was leaning definitely towards production, but I saw you on IG Live and you was dropping some ill sets. You did a great set.
No, I actually enjoyed that. And I'm gonna go back to it. I know everyone's like get on Twitch already, but the dumbest reason why I stopped, but I think it worked in my favor. Basically, I was trying to do a trick on the IG with my elbow and I smashed my fader out.
Oh.
So the Pioneer one. So I actually Scribble, who's my boy, he works for Pioneer. And he was like, "Oh, I'll get you a fader." So I waited for a couple of weeks for the fader. It shows up. Then he said, "Bring it over to get it fixed." When he told me to bring it over, I could not find it. I literally lost the fader. like he's just like, "How do you do that, Scram?" I said, "I don't know. Maybe the cleaning lady threw it away. I can't find it." So he's like, "All right, I'll send you another one." Then I'm waiting. Then he's like, "Oh, Pioneer's playing games." Then he's like, "I got a mixer for you. Come get a Range 72. Shout out to Scribble for doing all this shit for nothing. I pick up the 72. I bring it back. That fade is freaking stiff as and so it's been a weird technical difficulties with my mixer, which me it's a lesson to stop cutting corners and just go buy it and put it in yourself and stop trying to get favors. But what it did was it took me from the DJing and I've been really producing a lot of beats. I got a couple albums already in the can just from stepping away. So I got a project with Jim Jones. Me and him got a project that
I saw on Instagram with a Zoom with you and Jules Santana was there.
Yeah.
Fresh out of jail. Is he out of jail?
Yeah, he's fresh out and he's got the Zoom. Listen, Jim got the whole quarantine studios. He's got the formula basically of the future, and he's onto something right now because technically, we're all in the studio watching the Pro Tools, hearing it through speakers just like the studio. And basically people from all over are doing their own vocals at their studio, but his engineers engineering it and taking over their screens. And it's kind of the future. Well, it's the present right now, but it was cool because there's just people all over in the studio, but not having to travel,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he's trying to plug away at that idea, but at actually finding a secondary app company or something. So it doesn't have to be Zoom and this other audio program. He's trying to, whatever, that's on him. But either way, we started a project. We did 3, and he said, "Let's do an album," because they were coming out crazy. So we did about 7.
Wow.
Was it a solo project or something that he's working on with like a Dipset thing or?
Yeah, no, it's solo. I'm sure he'll have Dipset on it, but we were just gonna do 7. That's what he said. He said we'll drop 6 with a bonus. So we're on our 7th, and they're not what you expect. They're definitely like a little. I don't know. I gave him all records with hooks on it. Put it like that. So I had like bigger records. I don't want to I don't know. Like it's definitely a dope album.
Did you wrote the hooks? Pretty much.
Yeah, I have singers and artists and stuff. So I was, I have some like nice like radio sounding and club sounding shit that I was working on, and I was like, fuck it, let me just hit you with a bunch of these, and he was, and they came out really good. So I'm actually excited about that project.
Is that how you typically work? You package them. It's kind of like if you make the beat, you already have an idea of what the chorus is, and you try to put it together.
My mentality is it's easier to sell a record than a beat. So a beat, someone might like it, but they still got to think of a concept or a hook. Right. But if you give them a beat and a hook, it's like filling the blanks. You did everything for them. So it's like selling records instead of selling beats. I mean, not to say all my beats have them. My street, boom bap beats and that don't have really hooks on them. But like some of these other melodic ones, I always get singers to put hooks to them. And so we did a cool one. I did in the quarantine. I also did one with Ghostface too. We did a project. So
you do a lot of shit with Wu-Tang with Raekwon. You did like a whole album with Raekwon, a mixtape album.
Yeah, well, I've been working with Ray for this last.
Yeah.
There's Cuban Links too. So Cuban Links 2, I helped him put together, and after that, we did the next couple projects together, and I DJ for him, and that was I was thankful for him to bring me in the Wu cipher.
It's crazy though. You're kind of keeping New York hip hop alive. You're like, you know what I'm saying? Like. I can't, like, you're like the go-to producer for a lot of street rap right now, like in New York.
You're like affiliated with the Wu-Tang, the Locks.
Yeah, everybody.
Dipset. Yeah. Those are the main New York crews, man.
I mean,
Terror Squad.
Yeah, I was just like, you're keeping New York hip hop alive. Like, you're working with these dudes.
I appreciate that. I feel like, now's the time to, I think everybody's ears are shifting. This is a new shift. So, we were in like trap party world. I know that's still there, but a lot of the music we were collecting and listening to was because we were out spinning it in the clubs. Yeah. Like I really haven't been downloading that much new stuff, to be honest. I've been actually digging in my old stuff and bringing up old stuff and like trying to get more of an eclectic set or open format set. That's what kind of this quarantine did instead of like every day. Trust me, every day DJ City, shout out to DJ City. Like I'll be on it every day downloading shit.
Nice.
But I fell off because you know what I'm saying? Because I haven't been DJing in clubs, so it's like.
Well, I feel like a lot of DJs are like that. They stopped downloading ever since the pandemic because they're not doing clubs no more.
Yeah, so I'm like, I feel like a little out the loop with some of the new records, to be honest.
Yeah.
Do you pretty much, are you constantly making beats? Like, I'm just wondering, like in 2013, you released like pretty much 2 albums, right? You produced like a whole album with Raekwon, The Chef vs. the Beast, and then you did Styles P, the Float album.
Oh, yeah.
And that was 12 tracks. It was like 38, 40 tracks in 1 year that released. I was like, are you just really fast in making this shit, or like?
Yeah, well, the Styles shit we did very fast. The Styles, he's a beast. He's a super beast in the studio. He doesn't write. He just puts on the beat, bop his head for 30 minutes, 20 minutes, and got a 16 ready. So that was a great project that we definitely did like within less than a month.
Wow.
That Raid mixtape was actually an accumulation of all the stuff that we had done up to then. So it's kind of like the best of, and it had like 30 some records. I just knew a lot of people didn't know that I did so many records. So I said, let's just, I literally, it was like 35 records. So we just put that out. Yeah. I got another project with, you know who Nems is?
Yeah.
Gorilla Nems.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we have a project too. That's going to be some of my hardest, like, beat production. Like that's the hard New York street shit. The other stuff, I'm trying to do pop music and all singers and all that shit, which is great. I'm enjoying it. But the shit that people want me for, like that hard street shit, it'll be on that project.
Do you just love that New York? Because like your shit, you just know how to really create a New York track. Like the shit just sound like some New York shit. You know what I mean? Because I always wonder, like, did you ever think of like moving to New York? I mean, to LA or Miami, just because it seems like the poppin' scene right now is in LA, right? To be out there.
Yeah, no, that's all we've been talking about, me and my artists I work with, and even my fans, because we're talking about going to Cali. Like Like I definitely I definitely did. I've done a lot of stuff in Cali, like back and forth, but definitely I'd love to move to Cali. I have my son in school right now. He wouldn't be able to, he got 4 more years. He's going into 8th grade, so I can't pick up and leave. Even though he's like, I'm down to go to Cali, but
right.
But I don't think his mom would like me just kidnapping her son. But trust me, God willing, I could be bi-coastal because every time I go there, it's like things just connect. And with some of the pop music I've been making, it's like it's a better networking over there.
Right.
Yeah, way better.
And better quality of life too. Just but not right now with the fires and the freaking Corona. But in general, it's always a great vibe when I go there. So I love Cali, definitely.
So that does matter though, right? To be in the scene, to be like in the city, and like kind of be in the scene, and it just everything
like
kind of moves faster.
New York,
right?
In New York,
I'm saying in LA, like a lot of doors would open, right?
Yeah, I think it's some untouched, places to conquer over there. To like, I haven't done enough networking, but anytime I did, things would stick. So I think it's definitely worth going there for like 30 days and just seeing what the hell happens.
Right.
Yeah.
You did a track with Eminem. That was probably your most recent production, right? It was like a Cranberry sample. That was like pop. That was definitely pop. You got some pop music.
I had that one. I was sitting on that beat for years before that. It was just
in your head, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I had that. That beat was I hate to say it was an old beat, but he had taken it, and then when I did the scratches, so I got up with him to do the scratches for Berserk, and that's when
that's dope.
Yeah, so I went to Detroit to do the cuts for that, and that's when I asked him about that record because Paul had said he recorded to it, and I thought it was going to make that album. And it didn't. He said, sorry, there's not enough room. But fast forward a year or two later for the Revival album, he put it on there. So I was very thankful. Then the lady, I forgot her name, the Cranberry singer, died like right after we dropped it.
Oh, shit, yeah.
I was actually mad he didn't make like a single or do something like bigger with it.
Right. Because
maybe in the video, yeah. I don't know if it was like too cliche or too commercial or whatever. But
too soon, yeah.
Yeah, too soon. But,
when you make a song like that with such a huge sample, do the label, he has to clear all that shit, right? Do you have to deal with any of that shit?
Oh yeah, I had to give up 40. I mean, look, it's 50%. It's 50% writers and 50% for the producer.
Right.
So on the production side, they basically wanted all of it. So they took 50%. So they left me with 0.
Wow.
And then M threw me 5% out of his writers. So I got 5%. I got 5% of that record.
Oh, wow, man.
But hey,
is that rare though for like the writer to give you 5% when you get nothing from the production?
Yeah, it is, to be honest. Most artists don't give a damn. They're like, eat it. You sampled it, but it's called taking it off the top. So if you have a good rapport with them, they should go half with you just to bite the bullet. But other times they, you just got to eat it, and it is what it is. You just, there's good losses and bad losses, but that's.
Does that shit happen a lot when because you use a lot of samples? You sample a lot, like, and it's amazing to hear the samples. It's dope.
Yeah, no, I mean now I've been doing all the original stuff, but yeah, I definitely got killed with samples. But at the same time, people were coming to me for the samples, so it was kind of like, you want the samples, but every time I give them to you, I get shorted or I get. So I mean, yeah, trust me. When I did, I don't know, even the yeah, which was a break beat, like they took that whole thing from me from the Terror Squad shit.
Yeah.
50%. When I did the
that was a pretty big New York song. Like, you had like literally mid 2000s. You had like some of the big Hot 97 like street rap radio hits that crossed over, like the J Mills No, right?
Yeah. It was
you
crazy.
Get hit for that?
I went from no to yeah.
I noticed that when I was doing notes on you.
They literally came out back to back, and that was like a punchline. Like I was writing raps back then. I was like, I went from no to yeah. But
that J Mills was huge, man. That was big.
J Mills was great, and I had never heard of him. So I was in at Stretch's old studio in Soho. Stretch Armstrong, he had a studio in Soho Studios. He was working out with Mark Ronson. And I had a room there. Actually, Johnny Shipes was renting me a room at the time.
I know that.
All
I know
the
that.
Characters were like orbiting each other. So he was letting me borrow Red Spider's room, actually. And I don't think even Red Spider knew that. I think they actually got in a fist fight one time over me being there. I think that's a funny story. Yeah, but this is going way back 2004 or something.
Yeah.
So and then there was the front studio was getting rented by a battle rapper named Jay Mills, and I had never heard of him, but Shipes was like, yo, they want beats, give me a beat CD. He passed it off, and I really didn't expect that thing to explode. That same night, they brought it to Hot 97.
Really?
The next year, they had Flex playing it the next night. They had, like, I didn't know how much, like, Tone and Nigel, the cats that had him signed.
Mm-hmm.
Those were, like, made dudes that were in this, in Hot 97 with Enough the next day, with Flex, with K-Slay, and then got the remix with Cam and T.I. So that was, like, that just shows don't sleep on anything.
Nobody, yeah.
I was like a battle rapper from Harlem wants a beat. Like, I didn't think it would go anywhere. Not this.
That song was big in New York at the time.
Yeah. No.
Also, Scram, you did Black Vibe Ready, which is also that was also a big song for him.
I love that record. I love that record. Yeah.
Yeah. That was just drums. I remember I made those drums and I kept thinking that I needed to add something. And I didn't know what to do with them, and I just put it on my beat CD, and I went to Bad Boy, and I was playing them all these other beats. And when I played that one, D-Dot and Harvard like, yo, what's this? And I was like, it's just drums, I'm still working on it. They're like, nah, we need this, So that was interesting too. That was another lesson. Sometimes like less is more too. Like wanted drums.
So where did you get the idea to add the little girl singing? Like
that was D-Dot. I didn't even do that. I just had the drums. Yeah, he did that.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, that was one of those records, and you was on a roll. I was like, yo, this motherfucker's on a fucking roll. He's doing this shit.
That was a good run I had.
How was working with Bad Boy over there? Because I was listening to some of your solo joints, because you rap too. Like motherfuckers don't really know you spit. Yeah. And you had a solo joint. I think you had an album Hat Trick, right? In 2011.
Yeah.
And there was a song with Kid Capri, and it was dope. You sampled the same joint as Black Sheep, right? With Choice Is Yours.
I played beats for Diddy, did a flow for Puff. Still he copped the beat for Biggie, now he owns my stuff. Sold the beat to 50, but the song got cut. 40 songs with Side Giddy, but no, not one stuff. The game too shifty, making dough was rough.
And you had like a line. You said, I played beats for Diddy, did a flow for Puff.
Didn't flow for Puff. Like, he didn't know I rap, so I said,
did a flow for Puff, right? Yeah. Still he copped the beat for Biggie, now he owns my stuff, right? And then you said,
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna finish that. I want you to explain some of these lines. Because I was listening, I was like, wow, he's saying some like producer shit, like some inside.
I'm glad you caught that.
Yeah.
What was the next line?
The next line was sold the beat to 50, but the song got cut. Yep. Made 40 songs with Cy Giddy. Is that what you said? Saigon.
And not one stuck.
Not one stuck. And he said the game too shifty, making dough is rough. You got to stay busy when the going gets tough. And I was like, yo, he summed up being like a producer, right?
In 2 bars.
And like,
and there's a story between every line. I got
exactly.
A
story. And there's a lot of hope and pain and anticipation, because when you work with these big artists, you're like, yo, this is the one. And then something falls through.
Behind the scenes story. Yeah. There's always 2 realities going on. Mm-hmm. If you want me to break down those lyrics,
I want you to break it down. That's what.
So I said I made a beat for. I played beats for Diddy, did a flow for Puff. So I did play beats one-on-one with Puffy in the studio, actually in his office one time.
Right.
And I did a flow for him, did a flow for Puff. He copped the beat for Biggie. Now he owns my stuff. Now the Biggie Duets album was a remix album, so I didn't get any pub or anything on that either, because whoever did the original beat, or Lord Finesse, or I forgot who it was, that's like really their lyrics in a sense. Do you know what I'm saying? Like for the remix that I did. So
yeah, you did just the memory with the clips, right? Yeah. That was the joint.
Yeah. But that was is that you know body till somebody kills you? Is that the?
Oh no. I mean,
remix. Basically it was a remix.
Yeah.
We took the verse from Biggie and then they threw the clips on. But anyway, and then the next line, what I say? I said
you sold a beat to 50, but the song got cut. Yeah.
So I was actually on the Get Rich or Not Trying soundtrack.
Damn.
And I was in the movie too. Really? And they paid me. They paid me too. They paid me 15 stacks. I'll never forget. They paid me 15 stacks. I was excited. This is like 06, 05. And then 3 weeks before it came out, they said, sorry, Scram, we have to pull the record. Jimmy Iovine is mad that Dr. Dre doesn't have a track on the album. So we swapped yours out with a Dre record. That was like, man.
Damn, man.
What Dre record was it?
Say it again? I don't even know. I mean, what the Dre record?
Yeah, the one that got replaced your song. Is it even worth it?
Yeah, I don't know which one it was. I didn't even. At that point, I lost. I mean,
so your track was in the movie, but not on the soundtrack.
It was on both. So I was about to get like D Prosper and Sean Money, they were like, you better get paid twice, Graham. You better get a sync fee. But like they were like, you're gonna get 20 for a sync fee and 15 for the beat. I was like, I'm a young 20-something-year-old, like, oh my God, but it got last minute. So I just threw that in the bar. I was like, I made a beat for 50, but the song ain't stuck. And I said 40 songs with Side Giddy, but only one stuck. But not one stuck. Because Saigon, I started working with, we both got unsigned Hype in the Source like a month apart, right as he got out of jail, like in 2002. So we started working together, and we literally had leaked 30, 40 records. Every K Slay he was on, I had 5 beats, but nobody knew. Every, whatever it was, they were leaking all the records I was doing. And then when he got signed to Just decides to do the whole album and leave me off of it. So I'm like, you can't be serious. You use all my beats to promote, promote and not even give me credit. I don't know. I don't want to get into that bitter world. I was like, dude. So I guess I could.
Yo, that's a lot.
Man, I'm cool with Just since then. I'm cool with Side since then. This is literally going back to 2006. So but I was tight because I was totally taken advantage of.
Right.
Literally every day he's at my house making song after song, leaking song after song, buzz going up, gets a deal, and then that producer wants to do the whole album. That's another producer.
Basically, you were almost like Turtle and Entourage because he got.
I had those 2 songs that Sai played in there were my songs too.
Yeah. Wow.
In Entourage, yeah.
That's fucking crazy. 40 songs. That's fucking nuts. Yeah. So when I was hearing these lyrics, I'm like, yo, this is some inside producer shit. This is like a lot of disappointment. This is a lot of but it's like you got to charge it to the game, right? You got to keep going.
No, everybody. Listen, I talk to everybody. Got a story. You know what I mean? There's not a producer that doesn't have one of these stories. It's you could like you say, charge it to the game, paying dues. Failing forward and, learning from your mistakes, all that good, it's all lessons. It's true though. You start tightening your business, you start tightening your relationships,
right?
Because I was just loosey goosey taking sessions with whoever. It's just a fun time. Take the music, do what you want with it. And it's like what I always say in this business is it's always opportunity versus loyalty. So is someone going to go for be an opportunist? Or they're going to be loyal to say, hey, you helped bring this opportunity. We're going to go take this opportunity together.
Right. A
lot of them will be like, hold on. And what happened with me multiple times is I was still on the come up as a producer. So a lot of the artists that I work with and we leaked records got the attention of bigger producers. And then they would go with the bigger producer. Like I had a Spanish artist that we had all this crazy shit. And Pharrell signed him. And Pharrell wanted to do the whole shit. And my music got washed out. And his deal didn't happen. It happened even early when I was in high school. I was making little 2-track beats for artists, and heat makers got a hold of them, and he was deuces on me, and I was just like, it's been an ongoing theme. So that's kind of what that bar was about also.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What do you think? Do you ever like self-reflect and look at yourself like, Jesus, like am I too loyal? Am I,
I mean, I maybe I'm a little, I don't know what the word is, but maybe carefree, maybe just not really caring about the business. I'm very artsy. I'm very in the moment. Music is energy. You know what I mean? So, I'm not always thinking business. I'm not thinking, how am I going to get paid off this beat? Sometimes if I catch a vibe with somebody, I'm like, let's work. Like that's therapy to me. I need that just to stay sane. But then later what they do with it, sometimes you got to be ahead of the ball. You know what I mean? Because they may have plans for it and you're like, hold on, where do I fit in? Or whatever. They may just throw it out there and use it to buzz their album that they don't even put it on. You know what I mean? So, or come out with it unmixed or something, and I don't know. I've had everything happen to me, but I don't want this to turn to a violin, Like,
no, we like the violin. We like that violin shit. We like the stories. No, because it's fucking heartbreaking, to hear that shit and to see it because we've witnessed it, and I think we've all been through something like that. I mean, to a certain level, not at such a huge level as working with Diddy, Biggie Smalls, and all of this shit, like. And Saigon, yeah, it's just like heartbreaking and disappointing. But you got to keep going, and it's important to me the valuable lessons that you pick up along the way. But then also how long it takes to kind of realize and get to that realization of like, yo, I got to change the way I do shit because I'm continuously getting played and whatnot. And
then there's the flip side too, because when you do free stuff. Like I always say, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And it's really about relationships more than anything. So, for instance, I always tell the story, but I feel like it's relevant here is that I used to engineer for Nori. And I used to be at his studio every day, engineering, giving him free beats, just being in the mix. And I would catch the the industry traffic coming in and out, and I'd catch the other rappers because he was such a social guy.
Yeah.
He'd always have different rappers every day. So I said, take all the beats you want. I'll press record when you need me to press record. And then one day Mariah Carey walks in, you know what I mean? And that's when I slipped on the beat and was able to get on that project. So if I didn't humble myself to just, you know what I mean, to work for free, that, I wouldn't have been in that position. So, like I say, it's in another opportunity. I mean, in another situation, that'd be me getting taken advantage of. Like, I know engineers that work for free for certain rappers that they want to kill. They're just like, man, this guy's slaving me. He don't even pay me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the flip side is that if you're a producer and he's setting you up, he's setting up plays for you for other placements, is worth it.
That's crazy. That's a great song that you did for Mariah, Your Girl. That was on Emancipation and Mimi, right?
Yeah, that was.
You worked with her. You was working with her, or you just made the beat? How did
that work? I mean, so that was the only time I was in Nori's studio, was when I was like physically, with her. But when she was doing the project, she was actually in Italy. Oh. So she had her manager at the time. It was actually Mark Sudak. I don't know if you remember. I think he was like engaged to her or something. I don't know. But I was talking to him. He's like, yo, she needs an 8-bar intro with the guitar. She needs this, she needs that, and working out the format. And the crazy story with that is, with that beat, I went to New Zealand to do a show with a rapper named Mareko. He's a big New Zealand artist, and I did the beat and I rapped on it, and R.O.A.D did the scratches. So he did this is going way back. So they flew me out there.
Rest in peace, Rest in peace, R.O.A.D.
Yeah, so they flew me out there to do a show with him for his debut album. And during that week's time, I was in the studio just killing time making beats. And they had another group on the label that had a slow jam on the radio. 2 brothers that are on the guitar. So I took that, sped it up, and that was the beat that Mariah took.
Oh, shit.
So when she started asking me to break down guitars and all that, obviously with a regular sample, you wouldn't have those stems. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I knew the guys. I'm like, yo, we on the Mariah shit. You getting your cut. I need the Pro Tools to the original. You know what I mean? And I was able to take the guitar around, so that worked out. So it's just crazy story.
Yeah, that's crazy how shit works like that. Yo, how did it feel to hear your Mariah singing over a beat you made? Come on, man.
That was surreal because, like I said,
I would imagine, man.
I wasn't supposed to be on that, you know. But that's the whole point. It's like it's not what you know, it's who you know. You know what I mean? So I knew Nori, and Nori had just got signed up to Rock La Familia, and Dame Dash surprised him with Mariah, and it's just like the stars were aligned that night, you know. So, but I was definitely
wow.
One of the bigger albums she had too, because that's where We Belong Together and all that shit is on.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
I caught an interview, Scram. I caught an interview you did a while back, and you said that she originally was going to take a beat and put it as a diss record towards Tommy Mottola. Is that correct?
That's a fact.
Yeah.
It was the Ready for the World, the one that she heard in the studio. And mind you, it's on YouTube. If you type in Nori Mariah and it says Hood Lab, you'll see this whole shit go down because he had the DVD camera out, whatever. But the record was Never Really Mattered Too Much to Me. You were just too old for me, whatever. The Ready for the World.
Man.
I played that in the studio, and she was like, "What's that?" And so that's when her manager swooped in and was like, "Yo, let me get the numbers." And then I sent the CD, and she wound up forgetting about that one and took the other one. But they said that she started writing, then she was like, she scratched it. She's like, nah.
Damn, man.
Didn't she just do an interview dissing Tony Mottola like yesterday or some shit?
Did she? Or I don't know.
Yeah, it's all over Twitter.
You know what it is? She just dropped a book, so she probably did like a tell-all, and some probably came out in the book.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can you imagine a Tommy Mottola diss record, yo?
That would have been major.
That would
have been big, man.
Would have been the biggest diss record of all time, yo. For real.
Yeah.
Yo, Scram, I had a question, man. So, like, in 2020, has streaming changed your process at all? Because everything it seems like it's so fast and so instant. Like, or do you stay true to your process?
I like just streaming in general, how it became like so popular. You mean?
No, just like how you approach production.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Like,
yeah, like how you approach your process with production. Because a lot of times I feel like now a lot of it just almost seems undone. But I feel like our producers may want to speed up the process just to get stuff out right now. Does that make sense?
Well, he's saying that with streaming, a lot of the content and releasing content is sometimes more important than the quality of the content.
Oh yeah.
So like the quantity over content, the quality has that become an issue with you in production?
Yeah. It's been like I realize, and trust me, my I have a 12-year-old son. It's like, Dad, you got to release something like every week. Like, what are you doing? You know,
right.
like you can't just drop something and then have nothing after it. Like, and he's right. And that's the thing. It's just about consistency. It's really really testing heads. So, you know, when I do my next releases, like I gotta have the next 3 or 4 ready, because that's kind of where it is. You're not gonna get attention. It's just so oversaturated. So even at Divine Intervention, like, you know, nobody, like I threw it out, people forgot about it the next week. You know, I just like, you know what I mean? I didn't have a follow up. I didn't have a project. Right. I didn't have no promo. It was just me just by myself, like, upload. And I realized that I had to, you know, you got to be a little more calculated, but definitely you need so much content right now. So, I mean, it's a challenge.
Have rappers always looked at beats? Like, do they understand how the process of how much time and work it takes to make a beat, or do they kind of see it as very disposable, and even more so now, like just beats and shit?
I mean, rappers probably do look at, I don't want to, you know, generalize, but they definitely, the way they act is they're disposable, because the second they record it, they're ready to, you know, throw it out and on to the next, you know what I mean? And only, you know, so, and there's so many new producers and so many cheat codes that, like, listen, like I keep talking about my son, because he just started, this was the most miraculous shit, not to get all old, but my son started making, I have a 12-year-old, and he just started making beats.
Nice.
Like over quarantine, but like taught himself on the FL, and they're coming out super fire, and he's teaching me shit, like VSTs and plugins, like all this nerd shit. So that was so it's just crazy. But also what I was going to say is how fast these kids make them. Like he's like, he puts me on YouTube. He said, look at this kid that made 10 beats in 10 minutes. And I'm watching this kid with the FL, boom, 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 light some things up, beat done. Next one, boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, this is why they're disposable, because you could make them in a minute. Right. Because there's all these like cheat codes. I'm not knocking those producers, but it's like when artists see that type of, you know, a beat being made in a couple minutes, they're not, you know what I mean? They're not going to value it like if you sit there and spend freaking, you know, bring musicians over and try to like really take your time.
It's funny you said that you've been like, your son's been making beats and shit, because we just had Little John, and Little John's like newest song with Yin Yang Twins, he was producing with his son. So that's like some, you know, it's like some ironic shit that you.
I'll tell you a crazy story. Yeah. This is a fucked up story. I shouldn't. This may be one that I'm not, you know, I'm not 100 with, but that if we're gonna, but basically, so I'm the first beat I made with my son. Yeah. I'll just say what it was. I took the groove theory to Tell Me, right? You tell me what you know. I flipped that, and I was doing the drums. He said, "Dad, let me throw it on FL, make it even harder, and let me show you some of these plugins and VSTs, whatever." He hooks it up. Right away, I throw a Fab. I send it to Fab. Right now, Fab is like a hit or miss. Like you may just get crickets. You know what I mean? So like, I sent him to him, and I was gonna go to sleep like 1:30, and then Jim hit me up like, "Yo, jump in the Zoom session. You got any new beats? Let's finish this project," type of thing. So I was like, "Fuck, I got this new beat. I'm excited about. Let me play it." So played it for him. He loved it. He recorded the whole song. And the next day at 10 a.m., I get the email from Fab like, "Yo, I need that record." And Jim had just recorded it, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" So I was like, "Yeah." So that's kind of So
So what do you do in that case? What do you do, Jim?
What would you do?
You just talked.
What did you do though?
Well, you just talked about opportunity and loyalty. So which one?
Right. Yeah. So that being said, first I had to check the temperature with Jim, so I hit him up. I had to hit him like, "Yo, you know, I sent this beat first to Fab. You know, I didn't expect to go on a Zoom on a late night. You know, but you know, blah blah." He's just like, "Scram, that song is done." Like I spent I was up till 7 a.m. fixing that. He's like, "I don't stay with one beat for that long. I stay till 7 a.m. even when you left the Zoom session getting it right. Like you can't do that to me," type shit. I said, "All right, it's yours, bro. It's yours." But it was just crazy having to dub Fab on the email like, "Yo, sorry." Yeah. And I'm just like, man. But so these are like behind the scenes stories. But it's funny. My son's always like, "Look, the first beat you do on FL, they fighting over it. You gotta cross over to the Fruity Loops, Dad."
That's dope, man. That's really dope. I love to hear that shit. That you know.
I want to hear that Jim Jones record, man.
Yeah,
I'm big on Jim Jones. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, nah. He's up to something. He's definitely was.
Because his last album was great. So
that's what I'm saying, he's really barring up like all his, you know, like it's all. There's not. I'm not making no trap records with him. They're all like life, you know, bars or some dope metaphors, and he definitely impresses me in these sessions how fast he comes up with these verses.
So like with all of this shit you're saying, loyalty, opportunity, and I'm sure you know you've gotten burned.
That was a loyalty. I could have taken that opportunity.
Yeah.
I had to, because like they say, what is it? A bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. Like Fab has held beats for a long time and never used them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, you know, that was like, you like it, but you've also liked multiple beats in the past and nothing ever happened. Jim shit is done. He ready to drop it. I'm like, you know, I'll send you something else, Fab. I sent him a bunch of more shit. I didn't get a response, but hey.
So like, so even to this day, like, what is like for producers? I hear about this all the time. Even early in the late 90s, I was making beats, but it was like impossible to get paid. You know what I'm saying? And I ended up DJing. I ended up kind of giving up production because DJing was just, you got money like in hand that night. You know, like
that's kind of I mean, that's kind of where I went to in a certain stage where shit wasn't monetizing fast enough fast enough, and it's just like the gigs were coming in, and that's paying the immediate bills, and on top of that, you know, just being in the mix, you know, the clubs that I know everybody here does, like you'll see rappers and artists there, so it puts you in a certain level where they become more approachable. You know what I mean? Or they accept your text messages or calls because they just saw you in the club.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, you could. You know, but that being said, I definitely took advantage of the DJ run, you know, during that whole greenhouse shit. And then after, like, you know, I love the club. Like, I love it, but then it also limits you from what you're doing creatively back. At least me, it limited me. It kind of just drained me. I have to recover the next day. Then, I got family. And then I throw a couple ideas down, but then it's back to the club. And then it's, I got to work on my radio show. So it really, I was not making that many beats. And I wasn't that inspired, too. Recently, I don't know, I've been attracting a lot of like amazing vocalists basically and songwriters. And like, you know, I always played the keys, but it's nice when you play a couple chords and then you got a guitar player there, just, you know, adding that extra shit or, you know, whatever. It's just great work with musicians and people that have top lines like that. So I've been doing a lot of that. You know what I mean? That what pulled me back to production, not making the grimy beats. You know what I mean? It was more like, like we making music, you know, like, you know, so. Did
you self-teach yourself how to do keys and chords and stuff like that? Or did you?
I mean, basically, when I was super young, I had piano lessons for like 2 or 3, probably 2 years from some old lady that I hated. But my grandma always had a piano. And I always used to just play it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I used to like, look at it like a toy, you know what I mean? Just sit there, play it until finally my parents got a piano for our house. And I literally was just a kid that would sit there just working shit out. Like, I could play by ear, but I can't read it. So I always have chords ready to go. And, you know, I could always find a bass line, but I can't read it. I'm not going to go crazy, you know.
Yeah.
But, I always loved the piano, though.
Yeah, I was talking with my boy, DJ Moma, and he actually's been like, you know, he took piano lessons, you know what I'm saying? And is like in his late 30s, and he was learning chord progressions, and he was studying like, you know, gospel music chords and all of this shit, which was insane. And I always look at sample based producers and how they kind of evolve into like chords or original music and shit like that, which you said you've been focusing on and whatnot, you know?
Yeah, you definitely got to stay inspired and keep pushing yourself, you know what I mean? Or else you're just going to stay in the box. Like, I got to keep on, like I say, challenging myself to do, you know, or else I'm not going to be inspired. So, you know, I don't want to, how many, you know, gully beats am I going to make? I mean, trust me, I love making them, but it's a certain process you do with finding a sample, this, that, but it's another process when you start fresh with musicians or you start fresh with just the keys. And I've been embracing that now that I have people that are helping me finish these ideas. So
I mean, you're so good at the gully beats though. It's like
no, I'll never stop.
don't ever
like
fucking
Tim, like Tim's in New York.
I always got the stash of that, and I try to balance it. Especially when certain artists, they'd be like, yo, I need something, and you know, then I'm like, oh shit, let me quickly have a marathon of samples real quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely growth is what I'm embracing with the production.
So how do you like the current hip hop that's out right now?
I mean, no, I like it. You know what it is? There's I get put on to new people every week. You know, I keep mentioning my son. He puts me on a new rapper every day. You heard this guy. So I'm trying to stay. There's so much new music coming out. It's like so many little subcultures or an artist you never heard of that you'll see a rapper that you never heard of will have like 100 million streams or some shit, but you never even heard of them. You know, like my son put me on Coded a Friend or I don't know, a bunch of underground rappers that have a huge following, but there's no mainstream. There's no even, you know what I mean? They're like underground, but they're huge underground. So I like discovering those type of artists. When it comes to like, I've totally stopped listening to the trap, like not stopped listening, but because I'm not downloading every day, I've kind of like lost touch with a lot of the new You know what I mean? Trap records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've been listening to some new artists. But I really realized that I need to release music. So I'm trying to I look at a lot of this shit as distraction now. Like I have a different way of looking at it. Before it's like I gotta have every new record, and now I'm like, hold on, this is a distraction. Let me just focus on my shit because I'm taking too long to. I have a problem with releasing music. I have so much hard drives filled with music, and for some reason, I just can't get them up, get them out. So I'm like, this is the time to purge your freaking hard drive,
Right?
And get all this music out. So I've been focusing on that the most.
Cool.
Is the music nowadays, when you listen to it, does it speak to the climate of what's going on? Do you know what I mean? A lot of
I wish there was more, you know,
Right.
I wish there was more. It's really hard to find, you know, without sounding, you know, there's some that sound a little more preachy than others, but like even, I'm gonna sound real square and no, but like even the whole thing with the Cardi B, the Megan Stallion, like the WAP record that came out and everybody's like,
right.
damn Cardi, like you repping Bernie Sanders and you talking all this political stuff. Now was your opportunity to say something empowering, or you have such a big voice and the whole freaking country's going nuts. What you gonna drop? And then it's like wet ass pussy. You just like you're like, damn, that's what, you know, like. But she you know, they her and Megan, they know what the hell they're doing. But you kind of wish that someone of that caliber. You wish Cardi would come with like a, you know what I mean, like a deeper record. But am I right though?
I mean, you're right. I feel like I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of women find it empowering that she came out with a song called "Wet Ass Pussy." You know,
not when you got like a 7-year-old daughter or something like that. I feel bad.
It's the worst.
Little daughters that love Cardi, and then it's like, oh, Cardi got a new record, and you're just like, yay, yo, like you can't hear this shit. Like that's the only element.
It's almost like she could win because I'm trying to imagine her coming out with like a politically correct record, and I almost can't picture that either.
I know. That's far fetched. She know her lane. They know their lane. I'm just saying, like, it'd be nice for. I mean, look what's his name, Lil Baby. Didn't he do political shit and it went high in the charts?
That actually, I was really impressed by that record because he really spit some shit on there, and it actually made me really, really, really respect him more as an artist that he was that versatile. Because because Meek Mill dropped something and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like Meek's shit was cool, but the Little Babies was like, it was right on point. He sounded amazing on it, and I was like, wow, I was like, there's a reason why this motherfucker is on top right now.
And he didn't really go away from his sound in the process of doing it, which I liked.
Yeah, it was still his style.
I want to go back and I want to ask you a question, and it may be nothing, it may be something, but I was curious about it because I always have conversations about New York hip hop and how 50 Cent kind of fucked up New York hip hop. But I'm wondering, you've heard that conversation, right?
I haven't heard a word like that, but
yeah. Well, he kind of like he kind of bullied. He made it so that New York rappers couldn't work together, and there was beef with him and Fat Joe and whatnot, and blah blah blah. Like I think Ebro.
I don't think that stops New York rappers from coming out with good records individually.
Well, I think it was like he kind of fucked up the move.
It was the beginning of the downfall of New York hip hop.
It was around the downfall, but I think Ebro from High 97 says that like 50 Cent fucked up New York hip hop.
I mean, it's interesting. You know, I gotta like when you say that because he did like air everybody out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's hip hop, and it was a monumental time. And that was that I don't give a fuck that obviously that M was like, you know, fell in love with it and they signed or whatever. But I mean, that's what hip hop's about is that I don't like whoever has the more I don't give a fuck attitude. You know what I mean? 50 had it, Eminem had it. But
what I was saying is that
I mean, it's interesting that you said it because I'm trying to think what happened right after that. You saying right after that is when everything went trap, right?
I mean, it just went all down south. Around there, it was like
he was already sounding south on certain records. Like when he did Wangster and a couple of records,
for sure.
They were saying he was putting on. I mean, I know his jaw was messed up or whatever it may be, but like he had a little twang. He had a little. He had a little something going on, like where he was dragging the words and he sounded like a South dude in a lot of the records. So he started bringing that synergy maybe to New York, where it became a normality for it to sound like that. But
I was wondering, you did a track for Lloyd Banks. You did Work Magic on the Hunger for More album, which is Lloyd Banks' first album, right?
Yep.
And then you did a Terror Squad. You did the Terror Squad, yeah. So I was wondering if there was anything around that time where it was like, can you work with Fat Joe and can you produce for Fat Joe and can you produce for 50 Cent, or was there anything?
Was there any
opportunities that you lost working with Fat Joe and Remy Ma or any of that shit?
Yeah, I mean, ironically, for the his Dark Side album, the intro I produced, and he literally dissed 50 on it. So he actually did a diss record to my beat. But when I look at it, I look at Scott Storch, how he did the Lean Back and then he did the Candy Shop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And both of them didn't care. They let him do his thing. And he was actually affiliated with TS, but he still was giving 50 beats. Yeah. So I think the artists look at you a little more neutral. Right. But I didn't have any issues, to be honest, when it came to that.
Yeah, I was just curious about that shit because you did one track for G Unit, but you did multiple with Fat Joe after. So I was wondering, Yeah,
it never. When I think about it, it never really came up except when I heard the Dark Side intro and I heard the lyrics and he said, "We gonna have a what do you say? We gonna have a party when Curtis dies or some shit." That's how he ended the verse. We gonna have a party when Curtis dies, and I'm like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah. So, as a producer, artist, and DJ, right? Is it hard for you accepting that you do all of that shit pretty much? Like how Kanye, Jamie, you brought this up actually, like Kanye was a producer, but people was doubting him as a rapper and all of that.
Yeah, shit. Is it like difficult to be accepted as a producer because people know you from the radio, or even as a rapper, but people know you as a producer?
Yeah. Is it like an identity crisis in hip hop?
Yeah. yeah. But is it because to you're just multi-talented or whatever, and anybody can see that? But is it like sometimes do you restrain from saying I'm also a producer, I'm also a rapper, I'm also a DJ?
I mean, I like to say I'm all three. I think that's the only way for me to be special in a sense. But at the same time, the way people experience me all differently. So, if people used to come to Greenhouse to see me spin and then they see me come out with a rap record, they're going to say, why is that club DJ trying to rap? Like, that's corny. You know what I mean? Not knowing that I'm at the start of rapping. And the same thing with production or it's basically I juggle my own quote identity, and then other people know me, so people stop me in the street for beats. Then they may say, oh, I listened to your radio show. Then, oh, I remember you in the club. And then I get my old school heads. Hey, I used to come to the open mic. I used to tear down the mic. And it's just like I'm appreciative of being in all those moments, but it's kind of a gift and a curse because it spreads me real thin. So it's like I have an equal passion for all three, but then I have a lot of trouble balancing the three because it's like a jack of all trades, master of none. It's like if I did 100% just DJing, you'd see me every day on Twitch fucking doing backtrips and whatever. If I was 100% producer, I'd be dropping. You know what I mean? Yeah. If I was rapping 100%, I'd be dropping more projects. Instead, I'm doing 30 or 33. So it's kind of like, a little bit here, and a little bit here, and a little bit here. And it's kind of like, it could be frustrating to be honest, but I can't control where my passions are. So I just got to prioritize. Sometimes should I care about what's deep in my heart, my passion, like my personal music, or should I go for where the money's at? Just make mad beats and try to sell them. You know what I mean? So that's my personal shit mixed with the ADD, Yeah. You in the studio, I might be putting together a DJ set for an hour. Then I'm like, hold on, I want to make a beat. Then I start making a beat. Then I want to write. Then after I write, I'm like, hold on, let me go back to my DJ shit. You know what I mean? So I do that. I dance around in the studio all the time.
Do you feel like the world and time kind of lays the path for you as you go and tells you where to focus on either one kind of?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. I think there's a reason for everything. Not to be cliche, but I do. You know, even me taking this quarantine thing. Basically, like I don't see myself going back to the club. To be honest, like of course I'll do gigs and of course I'll do special events and whatever. But in the radio, but I'm not like prioritizing getting down with Tao Group and hitting up the people like you know what I mean and trying to like get in 3 gigs a week or something. Like I'm prioritizing now. Making the music, getting back to production, getting back to my personal projects. And I don't think that would have happened if this whole pandemic didn't happen. Right. I still would have been in the
rat race.
In the rat race, which was, Crook, and you know how it's going. Like the shit is going down. Like just in the sense where, DJs were glorified and then just the undercutting and the this and that. And now it's like, hey, you want $300 to DJ for 7 hours? You're just like, no, don't actually anymore. Just because, So
you saw in New York, the club scene was just kind of just slowly just getting worse and worse and worse. Yeah. You saw that literally.
Yeah, because it's became a money thing. Like even with the promoters, like if they could get a DJ for $100 or less, they care more about that than having the better DJ that can keep people in the room longer or may attract certain people to show up. And then, you know, I mean, I'm sure you've been to come to One Oak one night and you don't know who the hell's DJing, and you just like, and they just throwing records on, and you just like, you know, I'm not dissing because I'm sure there's a lot of unknown talent that deserve to be there. They could have been from overseas, but I found myself a lot when I would go out and not be DJing. I wouldn't know who the DJs were, or they wouldn't be that good, to be honest. And I'd be like, why don't they have, you know, the credible DJs that I know in New York? Why, you know? But I do know why. I mean, it's because of money.
Bottom line.
And like I say, technology is a gift and a curse because people become a DJ overnight, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you literally don't even need a stash anymore. You literally could not live stream, but jump on Tidal on, you know, on Serato, and you literally could match your, you know, sync up your BPMs. Like you don't need anything but a laptop and to know what's hot to play. And so you got like promoters becoming DJs, and you know they'll bring the girls, or they'll bring the bottle people, and that's it. Forget about the art form. Forget about, you know, my cool wordplay mix that I was working on all night. They don't care about that.
You had a really, I remember just hearing you once in a while at Greenhouse, and you would murder that shit. I would just stand there like listening to you. Like it was really a great, I really look forward, because I was in Vegas, I would really look forward to coming back to New York and like hearing the DJs again, you know? And then somehow in the last 5 or so years or more maybe, it was really tougher for me to come back to New York and really hear, you know, that kind of, I don't know, those kind of sets and that kind of like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fun sets, man. The fun sets. It's not so stiff. You know what I mean? Like the open format ones. And that's kind of why I've enjoyed the live streaming. Yeah. You know, because you just play anything and everything and be as creative as you could. And I you know, I haven't been on in a while, but when I do go on, I always try to mix every genre and, you know, jump from a Sting record to a Wu-Tang record, whatever I could do. I mean, make it make sense, but do stuff that you couldn't do in the club. In the club, it's like you got to play your 40 hot records, and, you know, how creative can you get with that, you know?
Yeah, I hate to take you away from production, but at some time I would love to see you on Twitch. That would be dope. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So that's trust me. Once I get this fader fixed, which should hopefully be, it's crazy. I don't know why it's taking so long. It's like a mind fuck, to be honest with me. Like, you know, but But I 100% will be on Twitch. I bought a freaking green screen. I bought all this shit. Like, I don't even, it's just sitting there.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely be on it soon.
It's dope. It's because you could DJ on Twitch, and you can have your son just be in the lab making beats for you. You know what I'm saying? And working with him and shit. It's a great dynamic.
He got to hook it up for me. He knows all that OBS shit. I don't know. I can't do that shit. Well, it's not like a dinosaur. It's probably super easy, but I do need someone to help me out with that.
I love that it took us 3 weeks, Kirk, to put everything together, and this 12-year-old can hook it all up by himself.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the best
it's
part.
It's crazy. These kids are sponges. Trust me. It's incredible.
Does your son have an interest in DJing or mostly production? He likes the production.
No, he doesn't do any DJing. He just
all production, huh?
He's sending me like five beats a day, like.
Wow.
Just like, damn, you're running circles. And I just downloaded the new OVO plugin. I just downloaded the new reverb that so-and-so uses. I'm just like, let me get that. Send it to me too. You know, and you know, watching mad tutorials, putting me onto mad shit. It's been a crazy year on that level with me and my son.
So with your son getting into this, what is the number 1 or 2 or 3 lessons that you would give to him, like moving into production, working with artists, and all of this shit? What is the main things you're going to tell him or have told him already with working with artists, or, you know what I'm saying, shopping your beats or doing whatever? I
mean, I always say, what I used to say is, you know, you got to get heard before you get paid sometimes. So it's like, it's more important to get your music out before you get some short money. Like, so whatever it takes, if you find a new artist, do a whole album with them, you know, like, get your shit heard, you know what I mean? Because it's so oversaturated, you know, and if you don't have a track record, like, you can't, you know. But I don't know if I said this to him, but this is something that I always say to producers is to get heard first. Let people, you know, get familiar with who you are, get some track records. I did so many free beats coming up, and then when it was time to charge, I had a crazy resume, and they didn't know I did them all for free, but I could say, hey, yeah, I did that beat for this one and that one for that one.
Yeah.
You know, this is my cost. They helped me get a cost because I didn't have a resume before. So it's like, you know, and it's that whole relationship thing. For him, it's different. He's 12, you know what I mean? But he's meanwhile, he's meeting people online. He's putting his shit on BeatStars and shit. And I'm just like, hey, he got me, so he got the cheat code. You know what I mean? I got to work out a funnel the money though. That's the only thing I work out.
Would you say between DJing, MCing, and production is probably the most gratifying for you?
Production and writing. Production. I guess writing comes with the production. Like if you sit there with a whether it's me with a rap or sitting with a songwriter and we finish a record and we produce it and write it, like that's an amazing feeling because it came from nothing, you know. DJing is the funnest probably. Like I could DJ forever. Like I literally could DJ just for hours. It's just one of the funnest things for me to do. Like if I could really just play around constantly. But production is definitely fulfilling because you're putting something to the universe that'll stay there. You know what I mean? Like like it's a real creation. You know, you could create a cool DJ set as long as people keep that video of you, it'll stay alive. But doing songs, you know, songs last longer. So
I got a question about like working with new artists, like the splits. You know, getting paid per beat. Is it how do you feel the negotiation shit out? Like how do you, because you know it's like when clubs come to us, or like, you know, the best is when there's like a corporate event and you're like, oh shit, I got a corporate event, I'm gonna try to get that corporate event bag. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to feel out how much money you can get. Is this like a $5,000 gig or is this a 10 grand? This is a 10 grand gig. You know, I always wonder with production, how do you work with the artist? Like now, are you just kind of like, look, I'm not making any beats for you unless, you know, you drop 15 grand or 20 grand or 10 grand.
I mean, now it's like, it's more a barter thing, I would say. With everyone's so independent, unless you're really going to a label. You know, you go to a label, then you go through their, you know, their representation, or you just go to the label. Like I say, like Locks. Like if I do a beat for Styles P, let's say, I'm not charging him. I know he got me on a verse. So I'm not gonna charge Styles P. But if I do something for the Locks and it's going through Rock Nation and Def Jam and this that, then you know they're getting an invoice because it's coming through a corporation. You know what I mean?
And the artists know that. They know that. They
assume, they saying go get your bag. Like they got a budget, you know.
Right.
Unless I was up and coming, then they could finesse a up and coming producer, say, yo, you know, do this on the arm. I got you on a verse or whatever. But but when it goes to a label, then of course you just go through the protocol. You get your lawyer to hit their lawyer and get the producer deck and all that. But otherwise, if it's a lot of these new artists, what my approach is gonna be I'm like, let's do a project. Let's do 5 then. You want 1? Let's do 5. Because that way one gets lost in the sauce and nobody even knows you made the beat. Right. You know what I mean? You just throwing it out onto the next. If we do 5, we could actually
create a sound, right?
Package that up, and now we have a project. Now my name's getting promoted. Now, you know what I'm saying? Like I almost rather do 5 than 1 sometimes. You know.
So you'll do it without a bag or anything, and do you work out the splits like beforehand? How does that work?
I mean, usually, like I say, every record is 50% the writer, 50%
that's
the
it.
producer. So it's usually, you know, if I was just going head up with an independent artist, we would just say, yo, let's just go 50-50. And that's it. And then, you know, if a certain indie company or something want to throw us a bag, whatever, we split it. But if not, we'll just drop it and I guess share the residuals or share, you know, merch, or it would have been tours, but you know,
it's such a gamble. It's such an investment of time and labor, right? To do these things. I mean,
it's hard because I'm friends with a lot of old school producers that won't do anything unless they get paid, but they also haven't heard anything from them in years. Right. So you're like, so you're kind of like, you know, he did those hits in the 90s. What is he doing now? And then when you go see him, like everything's about that bag, but they don't realize that everything you do is a commercial for yourself. Like you're out of sight, out of mind. You know what I mean? Like you gotta keep putting content out, basically. So you know, whatever the vehicle is, if the only way to get your beats heard is for this rapper down the street to rap over, then let him rap over them and just hit him with the heat. So people are like, yo, what is that? I need some of that. But yeah, man, it is a gamble, you know, and that's where you gotta have multiple hustles, and some shit will be for a look, some shit will be for a bag, some shit will be for a relationship. But I think I'm getting the mentality that I just gotta release as much music, and wherever the chips fall, they fall, you know.
What do you call Jamie over here? He's a big J. Cole fan, and he heard like
I wanted to ask you this.
He had a rumor, yeah.
I'm a big Cole fan since like 08, 09. There was a rumor that you and him had worked together, but I never heard anything coming out of that.
Yeah, so
that one get cut too?
This is another. Yep, it did. But this is another lesson. This is
Jay-Z got involved. What happened?
the lesson is I talked too early, man. I think I jinxed it, man, because he basically I sent a beat to him. Shout to Elite. I'm cool with Elite.
Shout to Elite. I'm cool with him too.
Right? Yeah. So he gave me the direct email. This is back in 2015, I think. He gave me a direct email with J. Cole. I sent him a beat. He hit me right back. So I fuck with the Scram. I'm gonna start writing to it. Thank you. You know, I'm like, boom. You know. So then I did I was on Sway, and he asked me what do I have coming up, and I started thinking like, you know, who's holding my beats, and I mentioned I was like, oh, and J. Cole, me and J. Cole got something, you know, and I shouldn't have said that because it didn't happen. You know, it just I don't know what the hell happened. It just never came out. I kept hitting him, yo, what's up with that beat, and it was crickets, but. That beat was actually the one that was on the Dave East Styles P album, the record I did. That beat.
Damn.
So he was about to grab like a Wu-Tang New York sounding like it was. You know, it must have been something he didn't have in the stash. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That he wanted to write to, but then probably didn't finish it. But that was another moment.
You really think it's because you mentioned his name? Really?
No, I don't think that's the reason.
Yeah.
But it's just. But
you think it was a jinx? Yeah.
Jinx himself.
It's happened before. Like it's weird because there's two ways of looking at it. Sometimes it's good to speak it in existence. They say, you know, words of spells and laws of attraction, and act like it already happened. So it's like you want to speak on it, but then there's the other side, like don't say shit till it happens because you may jinx it.
Right.
So it's like. Which one is it, guys? Should we talk about
It's funny because around that time is when kind of Cole went silent for a long time.
Yeah.
Because he used to be the one that talked to, like, be like, oh, I'm working with this, I'm working with Dr. Dre, this, that, and the third. And them shits would never come out. So maybe he was like, oh, I'm going to shut up now. And maybe, I don't know, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But yeah, that sucks, man.
Because
I was looking forward to that.
Is there a dream artist is there a wish list of artists a dream artist that you would really love to work with right now?
I mean, I'm a big fan of J. Cole, big fan of Kendrick. Not to be generic, but them two dudes is, you know, I think every producer wants to work with.
I think you would sound amazing with J. Cole, to be honest, man.
Oh, I think too.
Yeah.
No.
Not for real.
You know, that's just wishing on it, and he's always like I've met him a couple of times, and he's just a humble, cool guy, and Lead is super cool, and he's always down to do the pass off. But
that whole team, that whole Dreamville team,
team is
and
crazy.
J. Cole, they're probably some of the most humble, down to earth motherfuckers that I've ever encountered in the music industry.
They're very internal, like they very incubated, like they do their thing internally. They got their in-house producers, and J. Cole is a producer himself and damn near produces almost everything or puts his finger, you know what I mean? Puts his foot in the production and everything. So it's similar to OVO. It's kind of like to get a Drake placement, you know, to get past not past, but you got the Vinyls and Boy Wonder and 40, and you got his go-to team, and it's like trying to get in there. Like they got the formula. They don't even need outside production because they've got their formulas. That's
they need that gully. They need that Scram gully shit.
That New York hip hop. That's what they need, man.
They need that gully ass shit, man.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to work with other like artists similar to like a Cole, maybe like a Wale? Or even now Griselda that's coming up, like
Griselda would be great, yeah.
No, Griselda. I mean, I've been talking to Conway. I also I needed to get my gully stash up per se because when they came out, and to be honest, Benny reached out to me way back, and I actually didn't even take the session with him because, and I regret this to be honest with you, but it was like 2017, and I had just started working with the singer. Mind you, Dave East was practically my artist before he met Nas, and we did like 15 records, and I was doing all the shit with him, but once he met Nas and that, he was gone. So I was like, yo, I'm not doing no more rap records with these New York rappers. I'm working on this alternative.
He's losing them.
Yo, and it's crazy. The level of heartbreak, it's like consistent disappointment.
I mean, like I say, I'm still cool with East. We've done records since then, and I've DJed for him, you know, so that's still the homie. But that's really what happened, you know. Like we had paperwork and everything, and I was just about to sign him, and he's like, "Yo, Scram, Nas want to fuck with me. I might need to chill with the contract." I said, "Okay," and then you know he was gone, but not gone, but you know, like our everyday sessions were gone. But anyway, so after that, Benny the Butcher, Saigon's like, "Yo, my man upstate is nice. His name's Benny the Butcher," and I'm like thinking it sounded mad underground and like street, and I was like, "Yo, I really I'm taking a break from this for a second. I found a singer." I'm making freaking Paul McCartney songs right now. Like I'm literally making like guitar freaking, you know, alternative music suddenly. So I didn't even have the right beats for it. And now fast forward years later, I'm literally chasing I got a beat for Benny right now that's got his name on it. That's incredible. And I'm like, somebody get this beat to him. And it's like super hard to get him. Meanwhile, he was texting me 2017. So that's another story. You can't sleep on certain people. See, I got a lot of stories, bro.
When you hear like the new production for like gully rap right now, have you noticed that it's like absence of drums? Do you know what I mean?
So the new thing is minimum. It's just loops. Trust me, I've been in the studio with Alchemist or Harry Fraud, and I'm not discrediting them. Their ears and their digging skills are incredible.
Yeah,
but they really will just take loops. That's like the old Rock Marciano type of vibe originally, which is fire because then you get to really hear the bars, and it's just like a nice, a nice bed for them to talk over. Not to overproduce it, but that became a thing with Griselda too. Just minimum loops.
Do you think it's because the drums make it sound dated, like it's from the night? Because essentially it's kind of like a 90s,
like a boom bap
rap, but
tempo and vibe. So it's kind of like if you would take a break beat, it may sound dusty, but if you would take 808s and fast hi-hats and do it like that, then it'll sound now, but maybe they don't want it to sound now. You know what I mean? They rather just have something to talk over. When I say talk, I'm rap, but that's what it sounds like. You're just talking over about, you know what I mean? It's not about how it's impacting the speaker. It's more about them talking to you over this shit.
Do you blame like Dreams and Nightmares, Meek Mill, that whole shit? Like everyone wants everyone wants that whole
it's a melody playing in the background.
Yeah, they don't want that,
That came from one mic though. Come on, Nas had the one mic with that.
Yeah.
With the band, and then T Grizzly too, but that at least had a climax. These records, there's no climax. It's just some gully Wu-Tang co-flow sounding underground. It definitely reminds me of the underground back in the days. But I love it. I just
But it's also kind of like, it's how can we make the drums as soft as possible and like as absent as possible for some.
That's what I learned that when I first sent beats over to these guys before I really analyzed. My beats were full and everything, and then I realized I was like, these are overproduced. I need to just send loops. Like I need to just send samples because I don't hear now. I see Benny working with a Hit Boy, and these guys are starting to like their sound is growing now. So maybe now they'll grab some bigger drums. But what's his name? Derringer. That's my guy. Like he's nice with those loops, and of course Al. These guys got they find some real like Halloween sounding scary ass samples to loop. It's like how scary of a sample can you find? It's like that's what you're looking for. The creepiest sample, loop that shit and talk your shit.
So you I'm not because when I was hearing it, I'm like, this is like a trend. This is some shit that's popping, and you hear that shit too. So you pull back and you like if you had a bunch of beats that was for them, do you pull back and you're like, look, I'm gonna take out the drums on some of these joints or do I not chop up the sample as much? Like do I just leave it as is? And
I think just like when I was producing for Wu, for like Ray and Ghost, you just gotta find because honestly, and going back to like Havoc, sometimes like literally a 1-bar loop or a 2-bar loop.
Yeah,
it's like as much as like an outside person that analyzes might say it's simple. It's hypnotic, you know what I mean? So when you have something repeating 1 bar and someone's talking over it, there's actually like a hypnotic. There's a reason why it's so hot when you hear like Raekwon over just a dang, dang. You just like your freaking head is gonna explode, right? So it's like they have that too, where it's like less is more. Where I may find a dope 16-bar sample, but if I just loop that first bar or those first 2 bars, that's probably all I would need for them to rap over it. You know what I mean?
Dude,
always sound the best.
How's it working with like Raekwon, Ghostface, Wu-Tang, all that shit? That shit is crazy.
I mean, it's crazy in a sense. I always have to think about my teenage self, during these moments. Because as much as I'm cool with them, I talk to them on the phone like they're my boys. But then I'll be like, I just hung up with Ghost, like talking about like I don't know, like it's definitely a mind fuck. But high school I was a super Wu head, and I had the posters on the wall, and I would just like And honestly, I look at my old posters, and I'm going back to some philosophical stuff, but like that law of attraction and the vision boards. You believe in vision boards, where you put something on the wall, and it kind of like makes the universe kind of like every poster I had on my wall. I wound up working with the artist.
Wow,
that's crazy, man.
And it's crazy. I got if I have my handheld, I'll show you. I got a poster on the wall now. I DJ'd this Rough Riders thing 2016 at the Apollo, and DMX performed, and then it was Jada, Nori, and Jim Jones, and that's who's on the poster.
Yeah.
Now, I worked with Nori before I worked with Jada. I never worked with DMX or Jim, but I threw this on the wall. And then like 2 years later, like right now, I just did a record with DMX. Right. And then I'm looking at and then when I was doing a record with DMX, I was like, the only person on this poster I didn't work with is Jim. And now suddenly I'm doing an album with Jim. Like, wow. Like, I don't know if I'm getting too deep, but like literally, throw your favorite rapper on the wall.
That's some deep ass shit. That's some deep ass shit, though.
No, it's crazy. But I don't know where I went when I went there with it. But
that's dope.
Working with Ray and Ghost, and like I say, it's just crazy. Like when you get up with these rappers, like they're just normal people, obviously. But it is crazy when you grew up listening to them. Like I literally have. Where is it? Let me show you something. Hold on. Lying around here now, I had the Locks cassette of their first album. Oh shit! And it's crazy. I literally have the Locks cassette lying around my studio, and I just did a Locks record. And I'm like, this cassette was like my high school, or you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it's just weird how shit be going in circles, man. Life is crazy.
That's so dope.
Do you see like is it weird? Like, do they show their insecurities? These rappers that you know what I'm saying? Like, do you see like? You know what I'm saying? Have you ever like? I'm just putting the name out there, but like, let's say Ghost spit something. You're just kind of like, yo, Ghost, that last line. You know, like, you're
better than this.
That last line. You know, can we?
Well, that's one thing about me. I think that's what people that work with me appreciate it. I don't bite my tongue. Like I've seen people bite their tongue behind the studio, and like the rap will be way off, and it'll be a famous rapper. They won't say anything. In the back of my mind, I'm like, nudge that shit, because I will nudge people's shit. I won't even let them know. Like, if you're out of pocket, I'm putting you in pocket. That's just, it's like bothers me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, with Ghost, for instance, I mean, Ghost has been spitting fire, but I'll say, that, if I have any input, I don't bite my tongue, and he's responsive. You know what I'm saying? But he, like right now, for instance, we're trying to get features, but he doesn't like reaching out to other rappers. You know what I mean? But I know if he reached out, he would get the features.
Yeah.
And it's just funny. She's just like, I don't mess with these rappers, but I do want so and so on it. But like, if he doesn't get a response, like I'll tell him a DM a rapper, and he doesn't get a response. Oh, fuck him, man. This is why I don't mess with rappers. Let's just do it. And I'm like, wait, we can still get him because he's talking about some big features, and I can just see that he has no,
right.
He has no patience for egos or whatever.
That's wow. When you're in the studio, like, who was your favorite? Who's the dude that gets in the booth and pause blows your mind? Just like, yo, goddamn, like, just kills it. For some reason, I think Jada just fucking probably murdered.
Jada, because it's like he got that voice. So every line he does, it's gonna be like you're gonna remember it. You know what I mean? Like he really finesses his bars. So the times I was in the studio with him. To actually be there to hear him record the verse. When I did the Rain record was probably the time I was there. The Rain one with him and Nas on the top 5 record, whatever his album was called. But yeah, when he got in that booth, I seen him writing. We got in that booth. I was like, wow, this is real because like I said, you got a legendary voice. So when you start hearing it over your beat, you just start smiling ear to ear. You're like, wow, it's really happening.
Man. Yeah, you keeping New York hip hop alive, man. It's crazy, man.
Oh yeah, man.
I feel the last decade, yo, for real. It's fucking nuts, man.
So dope. Love, man.
Yeah. What are you trying? Go ahead. Sorry.
No. I just said I'm trying.
Yo, when you work with Styles P, does he bring like the green shakes to the spot, like the green juices?
Yo, he takes that vegan shit that serious,
I personally started taking his vitamins because I fuck with Styles P heavily, but I was like, oh, let me try them out. They're really fucking good.
No, I just got a new. They're on point, and I actually really like their Instagram. I told myself, whoever runs it.
It's great.
It's super informative.
Yeah.
I'm always DMing like shit to people like, yo, did you? Because health is everything, and my girl's a cancer survivor, so like she's everything in the house is super vegan, super organic. We growing shit outside. Like health is a big thing in the house, so he's spot on with that shit, and it's dope, really good. Making it trendy, not trendy, but acceptable, or not even acceptable, just putting people on to that, because people are so programmed, especially in the hood, like, grab a bag of chips, grab a slice of pizza, grab a Snapple, and that's like your everyday for years, and there's like no nutrition, and that's the shit that later on in life fucks with you. So it's smart what they doing, and obviously they can make money off it, but they definitely making a difference. And but yeah, when Styles the studio, like I said, he literally put on the beat, you know, he roll up, he close his eyes, or he'll bop his head, and like I'm telling you, like I've never seen somebody, because I've seen the punch-ins. There's so many rappers that'll jump in the booth, they'll think of their first 4 bars, and they'll sit there and think of the next couple. So they won't necessarily be writing, but they'll do a lot of punches.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like I think that's how like Kanye does it. You know what I'm saying? Because when I worked with Ron Fest, that's how he would do it. They go in the room and they try to trade bars with whoever's in the room and think of some shit and run in and run out and run in. But like Styles, he literally think of the whole 16, not say a word, go in there and knock the whole thing out. And if he messes up the last line, you take it from the top, no punches. You know what I mean? So like,
amazing.
I've seen him do like 7 verses in a night, like, and I'm just like, bro, how do you remember it? And he says, actually, the paper fucks with him more. Like he can't. The paper makes him mess up his flow, so he gets more of a flow. I mean, I get the science. You think of the first line, you keep saying it to yourself, and you think of the second, you keep saying it. But it's like I can't remember that shit. Like I don't know how. But that's how they bonded with Biggie. Him, Jada, and Biggie, they all never really wrote, so they had a bond.
Yeah,
Jada writes sometimes, but Jada doesn't always write. You know, like he also does that punches thing. But like I think that's how him, Biggie, Styles, Jada, and Biggie bonded a lot because they all didn't write. Beanie Siegel doesn't write too. I was in the studio session with Beanie.
Wow.
Nori had to come through. He went in the room, sat for about 30 minutes, knocked out a whole verse, and so that's another one. They got that memorizing. I don't know if that's like a jail thing that they was in jail thinking shit like.
It's probably curriculum.
Jada's verses always sound so calculated that I thought he wrote.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I've seen him write and I've seen him not write. And then when I see the interviews, they say Jada has said too that I think he's had the lines that he didn't write. But and I know like Jay-Z, but I know Jay-Z also will punch in. He'll come with the first 6 bars and then be like, all right, hold on. You know what I'm saying? Like not that I've been in the Jay-Z session, but I believe that's I believe that's, and nothing's wrong with that. But Styles was definitely the most impressive on that level. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
One is probably like Nori. Nori has to have 100 people, partying and that, and then he'll just take 5 minutes, do a quick one take, and go back to chilling. You know what I mean? But like he's funny. But that was obviously back in 06 because he's been in Florida for like 10 years. So
how much like working with all these street rappers, like how much crazy shit have you seen in the studio? Not much. Has it been like a separation or?
I mean, I haven't seen I've seen fights, I've seen shit, but like nothing crazy. Like
yeah.
Just just entourages and lots of liquor and lots of smoke. Like
yeah,
people get fucking hemmed up like before they record. Like you'd be surprised how much people drink and smoke before they jump in the booth. Like but whatever it takes to get you in the zone. Not everybody. I shouldn't say that. I've been in sessions where nobody's doing that. But you're talking about Nori and the B Block and shit like that. Yeah, dudes is getting
amazing.
That's a blessing. That's kind of a blessing, though. I mean, with all the drama and all the crazy shit we've heard about, fucking studios with a lot of these motherfuckers, I would expect some type of shit to pop off. If anything, yeah.
Once Fatal, I was in the studio. Fatal Hussein, God rest his dead, whatever. But he was in the studio, and him and his. I was at Shipes' studio at the Red Spiders at Soho, and doing a session with them, and him and his boy started fighting, and that shit they destroyed the whole, like, it became a rumble, and I literally had my back turned engineer, and I'm like, I hear them talking, and then I guess one punched the other, and his whole entourage fought in that studio. Jesus. And I was sitting on the computer like this, like, yeah, that was crazy.
What do you call it? Yo, do we have anything else y'all want to ask Scram over here?
Well, Scram, I wanted to ask you, since you from New Rochelle, have you ever worked with any of the guys from Brand Nubian?
Of course, yeah. I mean, those were the hometown heroes coming up, Yeah,
so, exactly, man.
And I'm cool with all their like siblings I went to school with, the brothers and sisters. So I did wind up doing them. I actually have the last Brand Nubian record. I never came out with it, but like Lord Jamal always tells me this. He says, Scram, you have the last one of us 3 on it.
Wow.
Because I never came out with it for some reason, but I got all 3 of them on a record. But I had this shit for Sadat solo. I had thrown Pooba a beat before too. I don't even know if it came out. And then I have his Brand Nubian record. But otherwise, I've been around them, and like I say, those were the hometown heroes. I didn't even know how big they were when we were in high school until later, and they were like, these guys are, 5 mics, and these guys are like, we thought they were just the local,
Oh shit,
but they definitely, Brand Nubian was the shit, and definitely
they put R.O.A.D on the map. Yeah, for me, I was like, yeah,
yeah, definitely, man. Oh yeah.
Man, yo, Scram, what do you call it? Thank you for coming through on the podcast, man. We've been wanting you on here for a minute. We were actually waiting to get you when we went back to New York because we tried to go to New York and get like the New York dudes, the DJs and producers and shit.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we were able to get you on for this joint, and I just gotta like tip my hat off to you for the amount of like work and the quantity of work that you've accumulated over, these past 2 decades. It's impressive, and you're still on the grind. You have a great outlook on life and work and everything, and we're looking forward to a lot more from you, man. For real.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you, man. And like I say, thanks to all y'all.
Yeah.
I fuck with the podcast, fuck with all y'all individually, and like I say, I'm just trying to music's the only thing I'm good at. Like I can't change a light bulb, I gotta get somebody to I can change a light bulb. But my point is
you can't change the fader, yeah.
You can't change the fader.
But put it like this, no matter how old I get, I'm making music till I die, you know what I'm saying? So it's just constantly trying to reinvent, and I'm definitely excited for the new music that everyone's gonna hear. They're definitely gonna be surprised when I come out with it.
Dope, man.
I'm definitely excited, and it's definitely out the box stuff, but I still got them heartbeats coming out, and hit me up 1-800. No, I'm just kidding.
and shout out to your little Scram Jones, a new producer coming up too.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that.
What's his name? Does he have a name for himself yet, or what?
It's just his name's Derek. His middle name's Jacob, so he's just Derek Jacob right now.
Oh, okay.
But no, I named him DJ. Notice how I named him DJ.
Fancy.
Mind you, he was born on my birthday too, so we have the same birthday.
Wow.
And he was born 444. So when you see me doing the 444s, it's not because of Jay-Z. It's because I was doing that already.
Yo, man. Salute. Thank you, man. Yo, Scram, thanks so much for coming through, man.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. Thank you, bro.
Salute to all you guys. Stay in touch with me.
Yeah. Real quick, Jamie, you want to take us out?
If you want to watch this video alongside all our brand new videos we drop every Friday, make sure you tune in to youtube.com/R.O.A.D podcast. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be the first to get the video. And
you can check us every Sunday on twitch.tv/R.O.A.D podcast. We're there every Sunday at 8 p.m. Pacific time. And Scram Jones is on Shade 45 every Saturday, right? 6 to 8. Is that East Coast time?
That's East Coast, so 3 to 5 West Coast.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, definitely check out Scram, and we are out. Thanks a lot, man.
All right.
Peace.
Peace, man.